Hello folks, I'm back from the range, and as promised, I'm going to give you a shooting review of the Springfield Armory 5.25 and 45 ACP. Before I do that, I'd like to give a shout out to the following people. One's going to be Compulsion 84, the, the Carbine Cowboy, and Montana Mountain Man. It's great to know that when you're in the community online and doing reviews, that you get to make friends and share information, and their help is greatly appreciated. And anybody else that wants to contact me through YouTube, it's feel free, and we can talk about firearms or dislikes of firearms and share information. Now going on with the review here, I'm back from the range, and like I said, this is my Springfield 5.25, and I really love this gun. I'm really impressed with it. Uh, I'm usually a Glock person, because a Glock person and a 1911 uh, person, and out of all the polymer firearms, I was just used to using the Glocks because I've been firing those for roughly about 25 years. But I've tried to use another brand, and that didn't work out for me. It didn't feel right. But this firearm really feels right for me. One of the first things I really liked about this was the fiber optic sight that's in the front. And see right here, if I can get that focus, when you're firing on the range, that once you bring that up to eye level, the first thing you see is that fiber optic sight. And all you have to do is line that up on the target, and it's going to hit where it's supposed to hit. The gun is more accurate than I am. So when you use this fiber optic sight, it is really outstanding. I've never used a adjustable sight on a handgun before, but I really like this setup. The way it's darkened in the back, and you have that sight, and you see that red in front of you, and you line it up with the target, and it's dead on. Uh, I did not have to do any adjustments. This is straight from the factory. This is the way it came, and I was dead on. The very first shot, I kid you not, was in the bullseye, in the red, on the X. And usually I don't do anything like that. It's usually maybe an inch off or whatever, but like I said, this made me look like a pro. I did usually when I buy a firearm, I usually put 100 rounds in it, four targets, 25 targets each, and just for a feel for the firearm. Uh, and usually they're usually erratic. And then I buckle down and start doing some real targeting with my pistols with the firearm. Usually after I do a review, then I really get better with the pistol, and then it's dead on with 2 to 3 inch groups. But you would never know that to see from the first targets that I've usually take, because I'm just trying to feel around, get a feel for it. And this was the third target here. I'm going to just show you this. The third target was basically at 7 yards. I'm still trying to experiment. Here was a flyer here. That was my fault. It was basically I did not grip the firearm properly, and this is what happens. You wind up pulling your shots down, and it'll go right off the circle here. And as you see, a lot of the targets were going toward that lower left, and that's when you pull that trigger, and you're like doing like this, and you're like going down and toward the left. So that's how you get these type of mistakes here. It's really that you got to concentrate on what you're doing when you're firing. The other target that's not on here, I really pulled some way over here. So once I've learned to get the control and get the better trigger control, I was able to center it. I tried to go up a little higher, see if it was me or whatnot. But the thing I forgot the most, I did not line that front sight up, and this firearm comes with a very good fiber optic sight. So that's on me. Uh, so that's how you end up going all over the place because you're not using your sight alignment. And in some of these cases where it flies off here, the grip. The grip is also the main important thing is because you want that first grab of the gun is your sticking point. You have to grab that gun right there at that point and make sure that's it. Your one grab. And especially when you're dealing with 1911s or in this case with this Springfield 5.25, you want to be able to have your first grip to actuate that safety, that be what would be a beaver tail safety on 1911s. You want to be able to have that firm grip so that safety can be unlocked and you can get that first shot off. Uh, Also, the other problem with trigger control. Here was the issue that I was doing with trigger control. Uh, I don't know why I did it, but I put my finger too far into the trigger uh, guard here. So as I was pulling the trigger, I was basically almost touching my thumb in this position. That was a amateur mistake. I can't make it excuses. When I was trained originally, I was told to have the pad right here on the trigger. And that came about because when I was in the police academy, they started us with the Glock triggers and they wanted everybody to understand what trigger reset was and the pad of the finger, how you can pull, it was how you can shoot and pull your shots perfectly and so you would have some kind of control when you do multiple shots. And then I don't know how I reverted to just putting my finger all the way through. The only excuse the only excuse that I have is because I would say the back strap was too small, and I replaced the back strap. The Springfield Armory's, I believe the XD line, excuse me, the XD line and the XDMs come with removable back straps. You have a one, a two, and a three. And I had the number one on. Usually, when I pick up a firearm, I don't usually have to change the back straps too much. But on the polymer guns, they because people have various different handguns, excuse me, various different hand sizes. The polymer guns usually have different size back straps, and they include that in the case, which is a great thing. So I tried one, and I didn't realize it at first that the gun was slipping. Now I was worried about if it was because it needed some type of texturing. After I figured it out, I took the back strap off, put number three on. Number three was too big for my hands, so I put number two in, and number two worked out very well for me. And so this is what I'm going to leave in this configuration of the number two back strap right here. As far as the front, I've seen some people uh, put a lot of some type of stippling in the front, and it's matching stippling. It, as you see, there's a lot of grooves in here, so you can actually have a decent grip. But they are adding a stippling that it matches Springfield's XD line. So it goes across like a mask and comes over, but it still leaves these spaces protruding out while the other portion of the stippling is there. I might go on Amazon and see how much it costs and might consider it, but I'm gonna practice with this first to see how this would work out for me. Other than that, the slide cycles very fast on this firearm. I mean, really, it cycles very fast. So if you have your target and you're firing, I didn't notice any flip. So after the shot came down, the next thing I saw was the fiber optic sight. So that slide cycles really quickly, with no flip. Just to give a quick comparison between the Glock 41 and this, when I'm talking about the slide cycle, it seems like the Glock's slide cycle's a little slower than this. It must be me, my eyesight, or maybe I can't. Uh, I don't know. The word I'm trying to use is my sight picture comes in quicker with this gun as opposed to my Glock 41. Also, one thing I wanted to mention is with this firearm, also it feels good in the hand. What more can I say? It feels good in the hand, and it fits perfect. I was thinking about doing a comparison between the Glock 41 and this XDM 5.25, but if you really want to see a good comparison, I would recommend you go to Hickok 45's page and look at those comparisons. He just does a great job. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a comparison, but I might try it. But it was interesting what he said about both firearms. Buy them both, and I'm going to tell you something. I'm glad I bought this. So I would recommend you also buy the 41 and plus this XDM right here. Uh, they're very good firearms. To me, if you only had to have three firearms that are 45s, I would get definitely the Glock 41, the XDM, and any good 1911 because I shoot very well with all three of those firearms. I wanted to get back into the targeting, and this is my other target, my last target, when I told you that I got my grip a little better, and at that point I didn't realize that I really needed to change the grip. To me, the targets were a lot better on here. I still have a little more to go here. Again, I did uh, something I wasn't supposed to do. I probably pulled the shot, but as you see, totally off paper here and a little bit towards the left here. But I was pretty much pleased with this area around here. Once I settled down, this area was where I wanted. And usually, like I said, what happens is when I usually fire a gun for the first time, it usually a little bit wider, and then my groups get tighter as I fire it in the coming weeks. And I think it's because you're new to the firearm, you want to really do well with it out of the box. And I'm not a Hickok 45 where he could take a firearm and just say, "Oh, give me the gun, and I'll hit some steel with it with no problem." He's a really good professional at that. I'm just the average shooter. I tried sending this. Matter of fact, this target here is actually at 15 yards. The first target I showed was at 7 yards. So now I'm expanding the distance. This is at 15 yards, and I tried to get it closer, but I think I was just wasn't aiming right or whatnot, and so my targets came here. I usually like the Winchester rounds, but this was the Farachi brand of 45 ammo. Usually my range usually changes the base ammo every, let's say, 2 weeks or so. So I had the Winchester the one time, and the other time I had well, this time it's the Farachi, if Farachi, if I'm pronouncing that right, and then another time I'll have the federal law enforcement premium, and they switch the ammo pretty much back and forth as your base ammo. Because I usually buy 100 rounds at a time just to shoot at my leisure. But yeah, I would wish that they would give you the option so I could really see what works and what doesn't work. I know with my Glock 41, it shoots well with everything, but it shoots better with the federal premium law enforcement and it also shoots very well with the Winchester. So I was hoping the Winchester or the Federal would be there so I can use that in this to see how it is. Usually, with that ammo, it's really good ammo. I have no malfunctions or anything, and then I usually shoot tight groups. This firearm had no malfunctions at all, no problems whatsoever. So uh, I can only say that if you want a really good firearm and you are not a Glock fanboy or you want something to steer away from the pack of the Glock people, uh, I would recommend an XDM. This is the what they call the competition model, and the competition model will have 5.25 written on the side here on the slide if I could ever focus it. So this is that particular competition model. This is the 45 version. This also comes in 9mm and 40 caliber. So you have your choice of all three firearms. Um, so if you're not really into 45s, you can always go to the 9 and 40. Uh, I saw a guy at the range. He was firing the 9mm and he really loved his. So in conclusion, I would like to say if you really want something different from your usual Glock pistols or want something different away from the Smith & Wesson MMPs, this is the way to go. I can just tell you, this firearm is worth every penny. Okay, folks, happy shooting and stay safe out there. Take care.